Oh, what's going on, Philadelphia? Hello, everybody. It is Bell and the Birdmen. I am John Barch, of course, with the sexiest man alive. That is Vince Quinn. And guess what, everybody? We can finally see him. Say hello to our good friend, Taylor Credentis. Hi, everybody. Yahoo! In the fish eye. I love it. There he is. Finally, we don't have to make a robot out of him or anything. So this is great. Welcome to Bell and the Birdmen during the summertime. Thank you again to our good friends over at Liquid Death keeping this throat nice and murdered of thirst. There we go. I always like to sip like a 12-year-old. When I drink my Liquid Death, I'd love to know how you drink yours. And especially we are here today because, well, one, Baker Mayfield is a Carolina Panther, and I just think that's hilarious, and we'll get into that way at the end of this thing. But more important than that, it might not look like it on the forefront, but this is a very favorite topic of mine, and Vince Quinn is just tantalizing my football testicles. Sure, we'll go with that. And
sure, yeah, well, I guess we'll go with that. Fine.
But college football has completely realigned itself in a blink of an eye, and Vince Quinn is here to tell me and you exactly why that matters for the future of the NFL and all of that. And I think it's very interesting how this happened so quickly, especially after the NIL announcements were made. We'll get into all that in a second, too. But why does this matter for us Eagles fans here, Vince Quinn?
Changes everything. It changes everything that matters about the whole existence of the ecosystem, right? Like, this is how, whenever an ecosystem, like, what happens sometimes is, like, in Philly, the spotted lanternfly. Remember how big a deal that was?
Oh, my God.
When they first came over.
Beating them left and right off my trees.
Oh, yeah. It was fun. Stomping the bugs
fun?
was fun.
Was not fun.
It was not fun.
It was
You ever
horrible.
stomp a good bug? Oh, man. So, I don't just, like, go around stomping bugs. If they're outside, generally I let bugs be bugs. That's where bugs live.
PETA can write the snail mail to 105 3rd Street, Media PA 19063.
No, I take
thank you.
Any bug that's where it belongs outside is fine. If it comes in the house, it's my territory and it's game over. So that's how I play it. There's rules. But you could take out the lanternfly because it was disrupting the ecosystem. It is a dangerous thing. It is a predator. And now what are the ripple effects of that? We'll see. Like, that is still a problem here. But when you're thinking about that, everything flows through the draft. I mean, it is the foundation of NFL football. What is the biggest thing in the NFL? It's getting these young guys, young quarterbacks, high-profile contracts that cost you nothing. And that's how you ride. That's how you win Super Bowls. All the ecosystem of all these different teams and what you know about them is going to change. Because when you're getting a USC and a UCLA and they're going to the Big Ten.
First of all, fuck yes. Chip Kelly is in my life again on Saturdays. Anyway, not that he ever went away. But
he's always at a spot in your heart.
They'll still play 10:30.
Yeah,
you'll be asleep by then.
Yeah, Michigan State versus UCLA 10:30.
Yeah, you'll wake up on the couch and be like, "Oh, it's the fourth quarter," and then you'll fall asleep again. But yeah, like when that's gonna happen, right? What happens right now? We talked about this because of like Nelson Aguilar, for example. Don't draft Pac-12 wide receivers. You know what I mean? It's not going to be the same anymore.
Well, counterpoint: don't draft Big Ten wide receivers unless they go to Ohio State. There you go. Still the same. So just from me to you.
Yeah. No. So, but that stuff is going to change. So basically, all the stuff that you've had built up in your head of these stereotypes of like, oh, this guy went to that school, this is what they do. This guy goes to that school, that's what they do. It's going to change because all of these ecosystems are different now within college even because the Big Ten does have an identity. It's more of a gritty style of game. Pac-12's a little more open and moving around. You're going to have the SEC.
Hold on.
It's all different.
I want to stop Vince for 1 second.
Sure.
The Big Ten is physical and in the arc ages because it can't recruit athletes. That's why it has to stay in that system.
Well, would you figure the recruiting gets better?
No.
You don't think it gets any better with USC and UCLA? It's gonna. Why would they make the move if it's not going to get better?
Because they know that they're outgunned and they have to go with somebody. And the Big Ten is the closest thing to it because they actually get the playoff chances. They get the stupid Michigan tickets to, maybe they'll beat Alabama, which is so. Would I bet that UCLA could kick the ever-living shit out of most of the Big Ten? Yes, I do. And do I think that they are ready for Chip Kelly? And do you think that when Chip is probably in on this decision, he's been in the discussions, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
So if you're saying, hey, Chip, who could you absolutely destroy? Iowa, Minnesota, Illinois, probably Michigan, because I used to kick the shit out of Jim all the time, and now I'm going to go embarrass him. And that's the only great thing about this, folks. By the way, Chip Kelly versus Jim Harbaugh, finally, first time, and he took his job, which is so fucking. Do you realize what's happening in the Big Ten?
That's not a headline.
That is
Nobody else cares about that.
I know. But yeah, I feel as though it's not going to help recruiting at all. It's only going to boost the ones that are already set in doing so. Like UCLA, that's a proper program. You're going to get the better kids that might think about going to Iowa or to Illinois, and maybe they're 3 or 4 or 5 stars that want to hang around there. Not anymore when Chip Kelly's beating Ohio State and beating Michigan and doing all those things. It's going to help UCLA. It's not going to help anybody else recruit, I don't think.
Yeah, I
personally.
Well, I think it is generally. And what's going to happen is, too, I mean, this is going to be a multi-year process, right? Like, just to get teams over, I mean, decade-long process, potentially. Because to get a team and move it over, a school to move it over, it takes years. I mean, what do? You schedule it 3-4 years out, right? So when you're making all these kinds of moves, what's going to happen next is they're going to refine it. Because NIL is going to drive everything. It's going to be, okay, how can we generate the most money? Which schools are the best at doing that? How can we convert that into the biggest TV deals? And how can we all, as a league, essentially make all of our money the most together? So,
and just real quick, if you're unfamiliar at all with what we're saying with NIL, it now means you can make money as a college player with endorsements, with the approval of the school along with. So that's why it's kind of a big racket, and everybody's like, all right, well, what the fuck is this and all that stuff.
Yeah, so the schools are in on all of this, and they're brokering deals now for their student athletes. And we can talk about Miami in a minute, because Taylor brought up something before the show about Miami that's a really big deal, and we can get to that. But the whole idea being that these schools, it's going to be fundraising is going to be the first thing that you got. If you can raise money, you can recruit better athletes. So thinking about these guys that once in a while come out of a fucking nowhere school, right? That's not going to happen as much anymore. They might have gotten, like, if you've got these certain opportunities where you can just buy the best player, even if because a lot of times you might just play there because it's your hometown. Right. So you're a good player. You could have gone to a better school. You decided to stay home. You want to be with your family, whatever. If you're going to get paid and you can support your family, you're going to go. Like, a lot of these guys are going to go because money just drives everything. So it's going to be more condensed in terms of a lot of the top talent, I think, is going to be more into 2 or 3 conferences for now. That could eventually push into 1 if the money's coming in strong enough. You're just going to buy the best guys. So, like, I think college football is sort of flattening out in a real way.
There's only one way. There's only one way I think it can go.
Mm-hmm.
And just to go way back to, I think, one of our first few episodes, and we might have brought it up during one of the times during the offseason. This is why the XFL is planning to do what they're doing and why they waited an extra year, in my opinion, for the pandemic to settle itself so they could get a little more money. They wanted to settle where the NCAA was going to fall on the NIL and where this is at. And now that college football has made it exactly what Vince Quinn is saying, this superpower, which I do agree is going to condense some people, and it will go to those proper programs, but I don't think enough where it's going to completely diminish the draft. But it'll completely diminish the draft enough if you have choices now, because there's plenty of other choices outside of college football, in my opinion, now that you can go play, as long as the USFL hangs for the next 2 or 3 years, which I believe they see the opportunity there, because the USFL can shift itself into the not-so-college all-stars league, where you might need a second or third chance to develop into your 22, 3, 4 age. Then you bump yourself to the XFL, and then you land yourself to the NFL. And what do we call that? Minor league system, which is finally shaping itself and flattening itself out. Vince Quinn, I've tried to think otherwise of where this can go, and that is the only way this train is going in my mind. It might not be the USFL in the end. It might not be the XFL in the end. But I'm pretty damn sure they want to link all this stuff together, and they know too. And still looking at people like Deion Sanders at Jacksonville State, who just got there, and the landscape of we just went through this a couple of weeks ago. The landscape of sports broadcasting has changed dramatically. Like, you don't have to rely on ESPN. You don't have to rely on all these different places. So, to me, that's where I think it's going. A flattened out, maybe this is their relegation system, and this is how you start to get Dan Snyder's out of the league. So it's still safe. Like, the NFL is going to have to bend to somebody, and they're like, all right, fuck it, let's just do it before, so the league doesn't fold. And that's what I kind of think is happening here.
They're going to embrace somebody for spring football at some point. I think that's where it goes. And honestly, if I was a conference and trying to make a power move, because let's say, all right, I am the Pac-12, I'm losing all these people, I'm fucked. Maybe I start playing in the spring. Why not? I'm the only college football game in town. What do you have to lose at that point? Like, I mean anything's possible. It really is. I would even consider.
I didn't even think of that. That's really interesting.
If I was somebody as well, if I was with the USFL or the XFL and say the SEC who's building up everything, maybe I go to them and go, hey, how about our All-Stars play your All-Stars?
Absolutely.
And there's money on the line and they get paid. Like that kind of who knows? I mean, it's a wide open world in that way. But I want to talk about the draft for a second.
Yeah, please.
Here's the problem with the draft for now, and this will be in the next couple of years here, and then here's where it's going to be long term. But short term, the problem is the guys that would typically come out as a sophomore, junior, senior, or sophomore, junior, I should say, they're probably going to stay because they are making money right now. So you might have a year or two where these guys, hey, you're a third round pick, but you can make $1 million playing at Miami. I'm going to fucking stay at Miami. I just am. So
not a ton of guys making $1 million at Miami.
yeah. It'll get there. It'll get there.
How many at Alabama you think in 3 years?
I mean, okay, the exception to the rule.
Well, Alabama. I mean, most of the schools in the SEC in 5 years. No.
In 5 years, yeah, but
okay,
yeah, maybe.
So maybe $1 million right now, even if it was a couple $100,000. Like, what is the rookie minimum? I mean, the rookie minimum is probably like $80K. I don't think it's a lot. If I can make $150,000,
more than that. Even as a practice squad player, I think that's your weekly.
No, not $80K.
Gotcha. For the my bad. I'm just
They don't make $120. It's not a lot. I think the veteran minimum's like $800. Either way, there's going to be guys that are going to make more money staying in college potentially rather than being, say, especially a third round pick, where it's like, oh, you're pretty good. You put up a lot of good numbers in college. People are buying your jersey. They like you. You can sell autographs and all that.
I disagree.
You could have a great ecosystem as a college athlete.
But if you're like $200,000 off, right? Like, and you're a third round pick versus going back into the pool and like, I'll be a first round pick next year. Rarely has that ever happened anyway. And I don't care what position it is. Quarterbacks that go back, it's a death sentence. Same thing. Like, I don't think you're going to convince too many people, hey, here's your dream. You want to turn it down for $200,000? I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't think that's going to be a much of a major issue.
Well, these guys are going to have agents now, right? Their agents, if they can get them enough deals, they will tell them. They'll advise these kids to stay. Because then it's bargaining for them. They'll go, look, I'll send the kid back. He's going to make $200K. You better draft this guy in the second.
For the top recruits, absolutely. But I think for all the people we're talking about that would filter out to those spring leagues and to this or that, those are going to be undrafted free agents, 7th rounders, 6th rounders, 5th rounders that maybe can get paid $120,000 to go get, pay professionally with a chance to get called up. I think that's how you have to compete with that. It's like, yes, you can stay here in college, but you could go play with the, Birmingham Rough Riders and get called up to go play with Bill Belichick and the Patriots and be like, well, shit, that I'll take that opportunity. Like that. That's where I think this is good. They're going to have to get creative, but they don't. You're absolutely right, and it's going to be a whole new Howie Roseman battle of college agent versus. And how does the NFL deal with that, actually? How the fuck do you deal with that?
Well, it's going to
different
become
laws, right? You can't represent. I don't know what we need help on this, but I'm pretty sure as an agent representing a college athlete can't negotiate with a professional anything until he's declared as a professional.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, we'll see how all of it shakes out. But if you're getting to a point, especially, let's say, because, again, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, just the future of football, this is all going to change. if I'm a college quarterback, what are the odds in a couple of years that, let's say, a really good college quarterback starts, big program, on TV all the time, a Kyle Hamilton, if you will, a quarterback at Notre Dame.
There you go.
Right? If you had a guy that was that kind of player, what could they make in a year? 15 mil? With that,
way.
as a college player, 10 years
In
from
college?
No way. There is,
now, as a starting college
a-
quarterback.
It's coming from local businesses. Like that's
well, it's coming from boosters.
well, yeah,
essentially.
yes,
Yeah,
but you know,
it's the same thing. Yeah,
but
15 million. I don't.
why not?
Not this early. Not this.
10
early.
years from now.
Yes, 100%.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like, all right,
yeah.
what you're gonna have to combat is the rookie wage scale and how that works, because now you're getting back into the ballpark of
Guess
like,
what the NFL's going to do? They got to rip that shit back.
Yeah.
And guess what? Fuck you, Tom Brady. Or no. Who was it? Who did it? Who did it?
Sam Bradford?
Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, and
oh yeah,
it's
yeah,
definitely Drew Brees.
and Tom Brady. All
Yeah.
in that, pushing that shit and eliminating the Sam Bradford rule, which, by the way, the NFL, start betting on quarterbacks again and pay them an absurd amount of money. You're right. I think that's where that ends up going.
yeah.
It's just fine. You want to play that game? Then we're gonna rip off this thing because our cap doesn't stop, baby, and you got to go to Dick's shovel place to go get $250,000 for, and we don't. That's pennies to us. Go ahead.
So it could be more of that, and part of the other side could be you get a little bit of an NBA element as quarterbacks are gaining more notoriety and more power and pushing where they want. Maybe more of these guys when they go into the draft go like the Kobe route of like, fuck you, Charlotte, I'm playing in LA.
Yes.
Can we go into the deep end?
Please.
Yes.
I love the deep end.
No salary cap.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like, well, I'll go into the other deep end because I didn't even think of that. I thought the NCAA is just going to be a professional league. There's no way to if what you're saying is true, that means the NCAA is now competing with the NFL.
That's never gonna happen.
You don't think so? That's
No.
what they're then.
The
I don't,
NCAA won't, but this is a theory I threw to Taylor earlier.
right.
And then
Yeah.
Okay, so here's an idea: is let's say in a couple of years, the SEC becomes its own league, completely independent of the NCAA.
Yo, yes, that's exactly. They're betting. That's exactly right. It's going to be down to is it the SEC league or the Big Ten league, or they'll just separate from the NCAA entirely, and the universities will
That's
control it.
what I'm saying.
Ooh, baby, then it is a professional.
What do they
league.
need the NCAA for at that point? They can come up with their own regulations and govern themselves as much and be as dirty as they want with each other.
Yes, they can.
Just be fully professional and say, fuck it. We're going to be a professional league for 19-year-olds. Now, here's the only downside to this theory, as fun as it is, because it's
All right.
fun as shit. But the downside is that if these guys are professionals of their own league outside of the NCAA, the NFL could easily just buy those players right out of high school as well and bring them straight to the NFL. And does the NFL want to do that?
Yes,
Maybe.
they do.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
As long as it's not expensive, because they don't want to
It
put a
won't
lot of
be-
money in
It
19-year-olds.
won't be expensive.
But
The boosters are going to pay for it now. I get where. Yes, dude, you guys went on the correct deep end of the pool. I think that's exactly what's going to happen here. Oh, we just crushed the NCAA in a podcast in one show. There we go.
Yep. Could you imagine how fucked they would be if they didn't have the SEC and the NCAA? Can you how catastrophic? Like, I watched Independence Day over this weekend because, of course.
Yeah.
And I mean, when that
a
guy
marathon
goes,
run, right?
"Hey boys, I'm back," and flies right in, that is
Andy Quaid?
that is the SEC leaving the NCAA.
Holy hell! I didn't really. This is why we have to have these conversations because where could this end up? And I think that's very, very possible. There's too many gambling sponsors. There's a reason why suddenly all the whether we're completely wrong or right about the XFL, the USFL, people started leagues now for a reason. And maybe just like everybody, the AAF was early, not wrong. It's like, well, it's the same thing. And that's why they folded. And they think about this right now, if the American Alliance Football League hung around until now, wouldn't they look like geniuses?
Oh, they would have been so made. They would have been so made. But the problem is for them, the principal investor in all of that was in real estate. He had a lot of money and all this other shit.
Whoopsies.
And his real estate went to shit. And so he had to bail on the league.
Yeah.
So the person that ended up buying it was like, all right, I'm going to buy it, but I'm just going to liquidate all this shit and get the fuck out of here. Screw you. Like, he basically forced the NFL. He went to the NFL, actually, and said, look, you're either going to buy us right now as a spring league or we're out of here. And the NFL said no. So, yeah, he folded it.
We're not going to do that, but we're just going to do exactly what you said, steal your idea. And
Yep.
kick the can on down until it's cheap.
And whether they buy, and this is where it gets interesting too, because they say the SEC does become its own league, right? Okay, well then, if I'm the NFL, if I can buy the XFL, the USFL, or the SEC, where am I going?
Probably the SEC.
It just becomes a legitimate farm system.
Yeah. So, sports are. Because this isn't just happening like with football, because it's the thing we care about the most. But I don't pay attention to golf at all. But man, I don't know if you saw this. The same thing's happening to the PGA. It is splitting itself, I think, rather poorly. That's a whole other podcast, and the reasons why and where it's at. And yes, but sports are going how much? Because it's the only thing that we are constantly entertained by, and it's what still everyone knows we will stop, watch, and look at for 3.5 to 5 hours. And it's crazy how, like, the sports market has gone. It keeps going up. It's not. You expect
And
the bubble.
gambling.
Yeah, and gambling. Oh, how was that possible? Well, it's because they're freaking in bed with each other. Like, the whole thing is. I don't know. I feel as though where regional sports are going, we don't have Ray Didd anymore. We won't see him on, post game shows. We won't see Seth Joyner on post game shows anymore. Like, it's regionalized sports are evaporating from like the TV side.
Baseball.
Baseball's becoming it all
There you
regional,
go.
not national.
Taylor's favorite
Who doesn't
sport.
love baseball?
That's right. Diehard baseball guy, Taylor Credatis.
I wonder where, but like it's like football always wins. Isn't that crazy? The NFL always wins. How on earth do they always play their? Well, they can't. That's why they're freaking having congressional hearings with Dan Snyder. There's some awful shit that they've done.
Hold on. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Dan Snyder, if I have this right, Dan Snyder's been sitting on a yacht in international waters trying to dodge all this shit for as long as he possibly can.
No way. He's on international waters right now?
He's
I've been off the map. So.
He's been trying to ignore a subpoena, and basically Congress is trying to subpoena Dan Snyder. He will not accept the subpoena. He's not been available to accept it. And his legal team keeps going like, yeah, we're going to get to it. And Congress is like, no, this guy's ignoring us. They're like, no, we're going to get to it.
No, he's fine.
Dan Snyder is hiding in pure terror of all this. And by the way, John, to fuel all of your conspiracies with everything.
Here it comes, baby.
The NFL is not really compelling Dan Snyder to testify.
I wonder why. Truman Show?
Yeah.
On to you, Tom Brady. You avocado-eating motherfucker. You're going to come out. You know what's going to happen? Tom is just going to come to the middle of the Senate, middle of the House, wherever they're having these, and just go, all right, the game's off, and just punch his front temple, and then Pinky in the Brain will just come out of his face and be like, it was all me. It was all me, or something like that, because I just don't believe all of the things that have happened over the last 3 or 4 years are just like, oh yeah, Tom Brady's that good. The Rams just happened to be in LA and win a Super Bowl. Tom Brady just happened to be in Tampa Bay and win there too. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Okay, see, now that's a Tom Brady theory I could get behind in conspiracies if you're going deep on it. Like if
deep.
they were
I am
yeah.
the earth is flat deep over here.
Yes, you are. You have been that guy, and I love that about you. But
Yeah, sorry.
like, could it be? I mean, that's they're afraid of a billion different things coming out of his mouth. And look, if I'm Dan Snyder and I'm going to Congress, and as I'm doing it, I know I'm done. Whatever I'm going to say, I'm done. He might just put a flamethrower to everything.
And if he does, we will be here to celebrate it.
We will. Oh, we will live stream. I would love to live stream Dan Snyder testifying to Congress whenever it happens.
Look, I'm not suggesting that. Like, how do we know that there's nothing better than the NFL? No one has had the opportunity to do it. No one. And so, like, man, now, like the dream scenario for me is what Vince is saying is right. The SEC just becomes a football league undefined with enough funding. And it does go to war with the NFL because what if that's a more interesting product in the end, where there's no rules, where there's Nick Saban running talent? What if they have mix of 18 and 33-year-olds playing football? What if they fucking steal from the NFL?
Wow, that would be so good. As if they don't just go, yeah, let's become a farm system partner with the NFL. Let's go to war with the NFL.
Why do we need them? I'm the most respected coach in the world. There's a ton of NFL players that would come and play for Nick Saban.
Wow.
Bill Belichick, when he gets his ass kicked out of the league, where do you think he's going? Whatever league they're starting.
As if we're not that close to a civil war already.
And that's a whole different other podcast, exactly. But man,
Yankee football versus down south football.
Oh God, we're just sliding right back into the 1860s. Love this. I couldn't think of any more thing big brain that I think is possibly true.
But we covered a lot of ground though in that amount of time. Now I know, John, you had an Eagles thing you really wanted to get into.
Well, it just baffles me because I saw Odyssey put this out of the last 20 years of regulation wins in the NFL and like who was on the top 10 of that list. And the Kansas City Chiefs are at 9 and the Eagles are at 8 all time, which I think just shows you, yes, like all the stuff that we've talked about through the offseason, no matter if they make mistakes, they correct them. They still have, great success, the Eagles and Jeffrey Lurie and blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, when Andy Reid left here, he had a 71.5% winning percentage for the first 10 years of that. And what caught my eye was like the Eagles were at 5 right now over the last 20, like 58%, I think, over those last 20 years. And the Kansas City Chiefs were right underneath them at 57. So that means Andy Reid left to I was too lazy, I'm sorry, to look up what he was walking into in terms of like the first 10 years without Andy in Kansas City, because I don't know when he was digging them out, but I know it wasn't great. And shit, I mean, if he pulled a franchise up to where his old franchise is down to when he left it, that is fucking incredible. And I hope all my Tom Brady conspiracies are true, because that means Andy Reid really is the greatest coach of all time. And fuck Bill Belichick and all his 6 Super Bowls and whatever happens there and blah, blah, blah. It is. The Eagles made such a monumental mistake letting that man go. That's all. Just a reminder of just like, I'm happy. I would never take away the Super Bowl. And yes, like, I don't want to hear all the. But John, if Andy doesn't, whatever. Like, they should have exited, restarted, and just gave him what he wanted. I just want to coach again or whatever it is. Fine. Why didn't they do that? Fire everybody else.
It was stale. It was stale. He was ready. Everyone knew it was. They kept him for like a year
or two. Same dumb argument
long.
we've heard for a long time too. If they would have fired Howie Roseman and everybody else that created the problem in the first place and just like reset, fired everybody and be like, there you go.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Andy wouldn't take it back. I think he's quite all right. Like it was what needed to be done. But the idea that he's been able to do this now and get to a Super Bowl with the Eagles, all those NFC Championship games, do it with the Chiefs, 2 Super Bowls, wins 1. Like, he is one of the greatest coaches of all time. And to see them back to back like that in terms of that win percentage, it's just like, God damn, he's good. he's really special.
You know who's not good? The Carolina Panthers. Any quick takes on? I mean, they've given up nothing. So congratulations to the Cleveland Browns for really screwing the pooch on this.
They blew the market. Also, I mean, for now, if you were ever talking about Minshew trade value, I mean, you're starting a conditional 5th.
Oh, what to knock on Cleveland's door when Watson
just
learns
in
that he
general,
can't play for a year?
Let's say, I mean, if Watson gets suspended, although they might have Brissett. Matt was mentioning that in the Discord. Right. They might have Brissett. So if that's the case, but if I was any team in the NFL and I need a quarterback, whether it's a backup or a pinch starter, and I see Mayfield go for a conditional 5th, fuck you. I mean, honestly, what am I paying a 3rd for Minshew now?
No.
In the offseason, he was worth that. Before the offseason.
I think
now he's not.
He still is if you have literally. I think the Colts would say okay if Matt Ryan went down.
If they lose their starter like that, maybe.
Yeah, like in an emergent situation, I still think it
Maybe.
happens. But now it likely no. Yeah, no way.
Yeah,
That's,
fourth?
especially with that's ridiculous.
Maybe. So yeah, that's the one thing I would say with that. Also, Mayfield playing the Browns week 1 is pretty great. That's phenomenal.
Yeah. Time to close the book on Lamar Jackson versus Baker Mayfield too, huh? All those stupid idiots.
Was that a book?
Oh yeah. For a long time.
Where
it
was that a book?
That was the beginning of both of their careers. I would never take Lamar Jackson. I would want Baker Mayfield's attitude or whatever it's this moxie was.
Yeah, I was rooting for Mayfield. It was nice to have you never get like wrestler QBs. He was a wrestler at quarterback. I like that. It was a guy that was talking shit when he planted the flag in the middle of the field with Oklahoma. Like, come on, man. Every quarterback is just like, yeah, we're working hard, we're trying to do our best every week. Like, they're all boring as shit. So I wanted to see it work, but yeah, he's just a guy.
He was way cooler in Oklahoma.
Yeah, way cooler. He was.
Oh yeah.
Was he ever cool in the NFL? For a second, did he? I mean, a lot of commercials.
I think he had moments early, but because he had potential and it was Cleveland, so they were still turning around. But now that's all done.
Well, just a embarrassing thing for both franchises. That's all that's it.
Yeah.
It's hilarious that it came to the middle of the dead zone for the Panthers to try and figure out their quarterback situation and having Cam Newton on the line just in case was their other plan. So, Matt Rule, welcome back to Temple. Can't wait to see you.
Yep.
And
part of the SEC. No.
Part of the SEC. That's right. Hey, folks, just a quick reminder, too, before we leave. Drink your Liquid Death. LiquidDeath.com/Bell to get free shipping on every case that you order towards there. And secondly, most importantly, Vince over at PhillySportsTrips.com has let us know that we are up to 400 people confirmed. We have got 9 going on 10 buses. 1,000 tickets reserved and ready to rock and roll on both end zones. One of those end zones is filling up right now. So we only have 500 tickets for where the Eagles come out, and that's where we're going to be sitting. So wait's no longer because now is the time. Go to PhillySportsTrips.com /trips if you want the quickest way, and then just go find the ultimate Washington trip week 3. We have talked to so many people over the last month and a half that we are just going to keep cramming and adding value to the ticket price because we're talking to sandwich people. We've got our good friend Allison making Jell-O shots for one of the buses. We have got beer officially covered from left to right, and we're adding more. We'll tell you all those surprises as we get more information. But, man, this year is really gearing up to be amazing, and it really does all start in Washington and Detroit. We have got so many things ready to rock and roll, and we're going to keep revealing those throughout the summer. And we badly want to give more trips away, and we're going to do that starting next week with another poll. So text us right now, 215-509-5833. Simply this: take me to Washington, and that will get you a ticket with a game ticket, all the things that are included in that, all the
in
booze.
the running for
In the running. Yeah, do I keep saying that wrong? I've said that wrong twice.
Yes, you just want to give out like 5,000 tickets to the game,
right.
which we can't do, but we would love to, but
we
not
will
yet.
choose a winner.
Yes.
When you text us from that again at 215-509-5833, which is right. Oh my God! See, I'm working on that. I'm working on the
there you go.
For our YouTube
the
audience.
YouTube point. Yeah,
I can't quite get there yet. But take me to Washington. And we will draw at the end of July, and you will come on our bus and ride with us down to Washington. And, man, so many different factions of Eagles fans. Some people are coming from Boston. Some people are coming up from Baltimore. Shout out to, like, everybody in the Northeast that I think is coming with us, too. If you have a bar or anything that wants to join in, let us know. There's really good perks when you do so. And we just appreciate you being here and with us here at Sandbox Studios. So we will catch up with you definitely next week. Vince Quinn, anything to add?
Yeah, if you have any other crazy conspiracy theories, hit us up on the text line, 215-509-5833, with all this college craziness that we've talked about. Also, you can just hop in the Discord and just
please
join us there.
TK, anything before we go?
Everybody was giving me shit for the announcer take. Is everybody just a baby now? Like you're arguing about a football podcast take in June. You know what football is. You don't need somebody spoon feeding it to you.
I did see our good friend Andrew Pettit say like, well, hey, pointed out his John Boy posted. Who was it? It was a non-broadcaster.
I think it was Tigers.
Yeah.
Something.
It's a
Tigers game.
baseball game that went announcerless. And actually, for baseball, I really enjoyed it. I hate TV announcing when it comes to baseball, especially. That's why I listen on the radio. But like, if that was in the background and you just heard the part, I think we could have a nice compromise here, fellas. So
yeah, baseball games like that are a Yule log, basically. It's a summer Yule log. You just throw on a baseball game. It's in the background. You hear the little, you get the occasional, like it's
yeah.
it's nice popcorn.
So I will compromise with you two if you want. There should be an option for broadcast, no broadcast, and just the sounds of the stadium, right? For you youngins that don't like people explaining to you what's going on.
Like the same way you can go through subtitles and you can go, hey, English, Spanish, whatever, and you can like get the dubs and all that. It should be the same thing. Announcer on, announcer off.
Love this. I love that. And we love you. And thanks for tuning in right here on Bell and the Birdmen.com.